guest speaker, Yusef Shakur. I'm going to turn over him in a second. He's a student here at U of M Dearborn. Yusef has done a really incredible amount of work in his community in Detroit. He's worked a lot with youth and trying to find ways to help his community build and, particularly with these young kids that need a hand up, not a handout, to kind of look different pathways, kind of avoid prison. So we've been talking a lot about what it's like to be in prison and all that. Yusef is going to kind of talk about the prison experience, but also he's going to speak on what are some of the socioeconomic factors that lead people into incarceration, different lenses, and what are some things people do when they come home from prison as well. So I'll turn it over to Yusef and let him take it from there.
Yeah, my name is Yusef Bunchy Shakur. I'm a native Detroiter. And as we say in Detroit, what up, though? It's an honor and pleasure to be with you guys. I'm a student here, so you might see me on campus afterwards. So don't walk back and look at me crazy or some things you may hear. I'm a very honest and frank guy. So I'm going to talk some things, but let's get into a discussion afterwards. I think when you have a discussion, you really can get to some things. I'm going to utilize my life as a catalyst around some of the conversations, as well as the community that I come from, particularly the neighborhood, in relationship around the Black experience. I know that better than anything in terms of the relationship to prison and neighborhoods. And I'm going to kind of shape the talk around racism, neighborhoods, and prison, and how they intertwine. So in relationship to my community, where I grew up, I'm from Detroit, West Side. My neighborhood's called Zone 8. It's after the zip code 402. Prior to my birth, it was a predominantly Jewish neighborhood. The actual name, if you looked it up and done the research, is called Northwest Goldberg, which is a Jewish name. And the reason I make that distinction in terms of when we look at the landscape of Detroit right now, we see it as is, but we rarely look at the history of the community, the history of a people. And particularly those who are selling us what the present day is, they don't want us to know the history. Particularly where I live, where I currently live with my mom's, and where I grew up, right across from my house used to be a hospital. Right on the other side of that was a Kroger's. Again, when you look at that community, and many of us who associate communities where I live at, we no longer call them hoods. We call them neighborhoods, but we call them hoods. And as we go through many hoods, we see dilapidated buildings. We see or we hear of crime and violence, but we don't have the whole history. Like this hasn't always been this way. How did it become such a crime-infested community? How did the social levees of these communities collapse? And when the social levees of these communities, the economic backbones of these communities, the political structure, the religious tone of supporting the community, when those things evaporated, the people turned on themselves out of desperation. It's like a dried up lake. What do the fish do when the water goes away? They turn on each other for survival. It's no different than animal being in the jungle. In terms of the scarcity of the food and things of that nature. And we don't tend to look at people in that same way. But more importantly, it's not by accident. How I grew up. Some of you may relate to the experience. My father wasn't there. He was off doing whatever. By the time I was 5, my mother had 3 children, 3 different men. Very, very not to do in terms of formal education. So she had to figure out the best way she could. And so again, at that age, me not understanding, living in a patriarchal society, how sexism and racism impacts families, particularly Black families. More importantly, how it impacts a woman of color, a Black woman, and the stigma that is associated with, again, not only having 3 children, having 3 children by 3 different men, living in a certain area, you're on welfare. How does that carry, and how does that negative shadow? So we don't understand patriarchy in a greater scheme, but in terms of like this woman now is deemed, unattractive in the grand scheme of being with, she's an attractive way and having a physical relationship with. But is she attractive enough to come in and want to be a father to her 3 children? Is she attractive enough to want to come in and to build a relationship with her and be a man to her, to ultimately be her husband? And we don't necessarily look at that dynamic and what that dynamic has on the child, on that community. You know, the cornerstone of a community is parenting, is your extended family. Your extended family maybe those in your family, but your neighbors, your teachers, your pastors, you know, well-off-to-do folks. And if any of these things are offset, the community, the neighborhood is offset. So again, you know, coming into, you know, what we talk about in Detroit, the collapse of the Ford plant, the Chrysler plant, in my community, it had collapsed a long time ago. What was it replaced with? No one asked that question. It was replaced with drugs. It was replaced with guns. Like, drugs didn't accidentally find its way in urban communities. Guns didn't actually find their way in urban communities. You know, when I look at the so-called drug war, it's a chemical war. It's a chemical war that was let loose on black people. Why was it let loose on black people? I mean, we're living in a country, and again, in terms of understanding racism, understanding white supremacy. You know, we move forward in the progression of society, but because of our inability to know history, we don't recognize the wrongs that was done in the past and how those wrongs are continuing to be done today, but they're done differently. So we're talking about the same government, the same society that experimented on black men with syphilis down south. We're talking about the same society that when it implemented the 13th Amendment that states neither slavery nor involuntary servitude shall exist. I'm going to start over again. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude shall exist except as a punishment for a crime. So the same amendment that's supposed to abolish slavery, when you read it carefully, it legalized slavery. And how did it legalize slavery? And how did it become such a sophisticated dynamic that it crippled and trapped black people into poverty, into giving birth to what we identify now as the prison industrial complex, as mass incarceration. For one, we take everybody on this side of the room who are deemed slaves, who are not socially, educationally, and politically astute to operate in society. But all of a sudden, to say today, you niggas can come and hang over with us tomorrow. This would happen. But again, you're not astute to function on this side. But as a human being, you're astute to do whatever that's necessary to make you. But more important, you saying, I'm damn sure I ain't gonna be your slave again. I'm gonna do that however and whatever to not make that happen. And so the system was set up in the terms of, okay, well, legally I can't, or I just can't come and just grab Aaron and say, man, you just got to work for me now. What I'll do is, well, you come work for me and I'll pay you. You know, I'll pay you such little scraps. I'm like, fuck your scraps gonna do, man. Your scraps ain't gonna feed me. So what I do is, when you go to sleep, I'm gonna break in your chicken pen and steal your chicken. And when I steal your chicken, I get caught. The person that's gonna try me, that arrest me, looks like Aaron. So again, we're understanding that dynamic in the systematic system of racism. And so then this gives birth to the chain gang. But we don't look at it that far back. Many of us only go back to the 60s, 70s, and we're only going back to the drug war. It's a continuum. It's a continuum. And that's why it's so important to know history. So bringing it back up forth into the present day, when you look at black communities, poor communities, it's the same circumstance. It's the same situation. Socially, educationally, folks are forced to prostitute their human value, their human worth, as a way to survive, as a way to make ends meet. I mean, fundamentally, we live in a country that its economic system is capitalism. Whether you pro or against it, at the end of the day, it's a system that exploits human beings. I mean, that's what it does. Because again, if you don't have, like this water, if I don't walk 100 fucking miles, and I'm thirsty as hell, if I don't got $2 to buy this water, what? I go without water, right? I go because I can't afford it. But from a humane situation, that's inhumane. Water should be free, right? I don't think water should be free. You know, I mean, or take this the most extreme. My child is sick. I can't afford to go pay $200 for the medicine. As a parent, what do you think? Do you think I'm really gonna sit down and just like, oh shit, just gonna pray for this and hope you feel well? I mean, you know, we would like to do that, and we probably will do that. And after a couple of prayers and shit, and we're like, Jesus ain't answered, Muhammad ain't answered, you know, Buddha ain't answered. I think I got to answer. I got to do something. And that something may, you know, go stand on the corner. You're going to call the guy, well, you know, I know he liked me and stuff. I need a couple hundred. Or let me go grab that pistol. It's the same situation. It depends on what you're capable of doing and what you're willing to offer off to be able to achieve that. Does that make that person a bad person? No, it doesn't make a person a bad person. Because we're not looking at the grand scheme of the dynamic that created that situation. See, we're taught in America, for certain people, that it's wrong to say you're a product of your environment. In reality, we're all a product of our environment. We're all a product of the people that we know. Unfortunately, when we say we're a product of our environment in black communities, America, it allows them to kick them off the hook. You know, like many of us don't even realize, like classrooms like this, they was painted. People was paid to come in and figure out, we paint this classroom a certain way, because humanly, it will get us to respond a certain way. We was paid to figure out how to get the most out of people by sitting a certain way, because they study human beings. They know certain colors have an impact psychologically. They know certain ways, if you sit certain ways, it has an impact on how you interact. So if that is true, why can't it be true if a person is living in a very dilapidated community, that their spirit don't become dilapidated, that their mind don't become dilapidated? You know, when you start seeing and watch your mother get her ass beat every day, and I ain't talking about the physical abuse, I'm talking about the abuse of going out trying to get a job. I'm talking about the abuse because you're not fit, you know, educationally to hit this standard. And she comes home and she pours, you know, into you like, I'm doing my best, baby, and I love you. How do you think that child feels? You know, when they eating chicken all week, you know, and making the best out of things. You know, this is the environment that I grew up in. And as a result, my mother began to, you know, utilize alcohol as a coping mechanism with her pain and with her hurt, which I don't understand, but also with her ability to try to raise a boy in the jungle, the urban jungle of America. And because of the things that was missing in my family, in my community, I wouldn't find those things in the streets. You know, the father that I didn't have in my household, I found on the corner. You know, the education that I wasn't receiving in the school, I received on the streets. You know, not having a big brother in my house when Billy was trying to beat my ass, you know, Doc Strange came and rescued me. You know, again, each and every one of us has been in a position where someone who's come and shown us some type of love, whether it's healthy and unhealthy, that we respond in a certain way. I mean, that's just humanly natural to do that. And so for a child who hasn't been developed, and that's the thing that we don't necessarily connect to. And we talk about choices, and that's very dangerous. What makes it dangerous, because it's true, we all have the ability to make choices. But the question that we should ask ourselves, how developed our minds are to really make the best choice? Because many of us are caught up in the suspense of undevelopedness. And the suspense of undevelopedness is resorted to the hurt, the pain, the misery, the confusion. And when you're buried inside of those things, how fair is it to say that you're going to really make a good choice? How fair is it to say that when you have, you know, money in your pocket and you're trying to feed yourself, that you're going to do the right thing? So under those circumstances, the right and the wrong thing tends to fall out the window when it's measured by survival. So for me, by the age 13, I've been kicked out of every Detroit public school I ever went to. I co-founded a gang in the city of Detroit. You know, a war had brewed between my mother that it exploded, where I despised her, not as my mother, I despised her because when I would fuck up, and when it was time to discipline me, it was after she had been drinking. And so that discipline that she imposed on me became very abusive. Or it exceeded what was necessary. So the ass whippings that she poured in me, I couldn't pour them back on her. I went out in the streets and poured them on other people. So as a result of this, I became this raging animal, this raging predator. And not having anybody in my community to help guide that, to help nurture that, to help sit down and open me up and look at that pain and try to heal that heart, that broken heart. I became what the streets made of me, a Zone 8 thug. And the most important thing that people don't realize and understand, it was only till I became a Zone 8 thug that I became visible in my community. I don't know if you're familiar with the book Ralph Ellison and The Invisible Man. He talks about the experience of being black growing up in the down south. That is a continuum for black people and for other folks who are oppressed and exploited in this community. You know, many of us talk about when you look at folks who are acting out, it is a way it's a cry for help. You know, again, when I was just a regular guy, a regular boy, I went unnoticed. But here's the thing too, in assessing and analyzing my life, you know, I went from building clubhouses, building go-karts, playing kickball, all the ghetto games, the shit that you do for fun, and the next night, the next day, I'm hanging. We shooting dice now. We shooting up people. We selling dope. How did that happen? It's so fast. Now you're at the age of 14. I see witness my first murder. At the age of 14, I'm hanging with guys that's old enough to be my father. How do I go home and tell my mom, I just saw a man lay on the ground and they shot him 3 times in the head? Who do I go tell that to? And as a result of that happening, somebody died. And my older, what we call my OGs, thought it was a retaliation. But it was, again, when you're in that life or that death situation, which that we call a lifestyle, is really a death style, you got so many enemies that you don't know who's ready to pop you off. And the retaliation wasn't from that, it was from another situation. And so when they sat down and evaluated, because they related to that situation, who was the weakest link of that group? By default, they picked me, 13, 14 years old. He ain't been through nothing. He ain't been through the trenches with us. He ain't been in the county jails. He ain't walked that walk with us. He's learning to walk that walk with us because he now becomes expendable. He has to be the one who says something. I don't know this conversation that's taking place. So when I'm leaving the gas station, just doing what I do, wrong with my community, going home, and they jump out, I'm like, "What's up, y'all, all right?" And they pull the pistol out on me and start hitting me. I'm like, what I do? But mind you, these guys I look up to. These guys have replaced my father. And this how you do me. But who do I go talk to about this? Who do I go cry my heart out about this pain? Because I'm lost in this situation. What pastor can I go tell without them condemning me? What police officer can I go tell without them arresting me? What mayor can I go knock on his door, have his number, and say, "Man, what program can you help me?" Because fundamentally, of any society, the greatest resource is the people of that society. And not to invest in the people is to throw them away. So we live in a society that we're throwing people away every day in some form or some fashion. So it's important to understand the dynamics of race and how racism, what is actually white supremacy, how it operates and how it functions. And not only does it oppress and exploit black people and brown people, but it exploits white people as well. Because we live up under the illusion as if crime doesn't happen in white community. We live under the illusion as if drugs doesn't happen in white community. And what I mean by the illusion, when we look at the media, what the media portrays, how often do the media portrays or tell the story of crime happening in the white community? Unless it's something real dramatic. I mean, it can be something that's silly and stupid happening in the black community. It's on the news every other day. They don't tell you about the other story. They don't tell you about the annual backpack event that we've done over 10 years in my neighborhood. They don't tell you about some churches that is doing phenomenal work. Now, why are we only getting this one-sided view? You know, I only when Mike Brown is convicted, he goes on trial before the guy who kills him. You know why when Trayvon Martin gets killed, assassinated, he goes on trial before the guy who kills him. I mean, what the fuck that, because he smoked weed, got to do anything with the man who killed him? What the fuck that, because he may have robbed somebody, what that got to do with the present day that this man was killed because he was walking down the street? I mean, again, this is how white supremacy operates. You know, when it doesn't talk about in terms of there's fatherless children in white communities. There's children in those communities who parents are incarcerated. But again, this lopsided view, portrayal, is brutal on the minds of human beings. You know, it's no different than when GM and Ford was leaving the suburbs, the rural areas, and taking their jobs supposedly to the urban areas. So again, because what happens on the ground level, as people, we fight against each other. For what? For survival. But who's winning? And some call it the 1%. And some call it big corporations. And whatever you call it, but it's something, we have to call it something. We have to identify something. And what is the motives behind that? So that is the ownership that we have to take in being able to take control of our lives and see the commonality. Because we're quick to say we're all human, right? And we all are. But we have to recognize and realize that we all don't get treated the same way. And why is that? Because when the police pull up behind me, my heart starts beating fast in the motherfucker. And I ain't done shit, you know. I mean, I got insurance and a license, seatbelt on, you know, hat straight. But my heart just boom, 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 boom. Like police pull behind. What's your name?
Bobby.
Bobby? Do your heart start beating?
Yeah.
So for most folks, it don't. Why? Because they don't have to worry about if that officer is going to shoot them, if that officer is going to mistreat them. You know, and again, we have to. The worst thing that happens in America, we're taught what to think instead of how to think, and we have to reverse that. We have to be critical thinkers. And so, as a result of the things that I was involved in or associated with, growing up. You know, at the age of 15, my mother made me awarded the state. And that was, in my opinion, that's a social crime in itself. And why it was a social crime? Because my mother was asking for help. And the only help that she had was by having me locked away. And when I came home, I hadn't dealt with the internal issues, the things that I already alluded to, that pain, that hurt. I dealt with the surface thing. And I came home, you know, really wanting to do well, and wanting to get in trouble. And after being home maybe about 6 or 7 months, you know, and utilizing my job, my girlfriend, and school as a crutch, that my bubble burst. And the bubble burst being in an environment like this. I was at Northern High School, and I remember like yesterday, I was out to get my report card, I had good grades, and my teacher was like, what do you think about going to college? And I gave him that routine answer that we all give. I would love to go to college. But when I went home that day, and I really thought, like, do I really want to go to college? What is college? My mind drew a blank. And it began to spiral until I'm tired of banging. You know, even though I wasn't banging, that reality was right there. And that reality was a nightmare. You know, here I'm at 18, I feel like a Vietnam vet. I'm tired. But that's my option. Even though I'm over here, I'm working. I'm getting good grades, but I don't feel stable here. I'm not doing this for myself. Even though it's for survival, it's not for the right survival. I'm just trying to hold on, but I don't know what I'm holding on to. And I don't even realize, like, I'm familiar with college to a certain degree. Like, you know, when I was younger, where I lived at Wayne State, we rode our bike, but I didn't even realize that's a university I can go to. That was a university that it would offer me opportunities. You know, when I lived on Indiana in Puritan, my auntie, we went up to Marygrove. I had no fucking idea Marygrove was a college. You know, these doors wasn't open. So the more I pull myself into this nightmare, the more scary it became for me. And as a result, I tried to kill myself. But I was like, fuck, I'd rather be dead. So if I go back to the streets, that's probably what's going to happen to me. Because I want to live, but I don't know how to live. I want to live, but I don't know how to live. And I'm tired of surviving. More important, I'm tired of faking it. I'm tired of fronting. So I drowned in my own fear. And fortunately enough, I wasn't successful. You know, a year after that, I ended up getting picked up for a crime I didn't do. Ended up going to prison. And while in prison, I met my father for the first time. I met my father in prison for the first time. See, I knew of him, but I knew of him like many of us know of our father as a sperm donor. The guy would say, I'm going to do this and do that, and don't do a goddamn thing. And it was fortunate enough for me, prior to me getting there, he began to redeem and transform his life. So our relationship opened up through letters. You know, I've been there like 6 months, and I've been in the hole, solitary confinement, about 7 times. I've been all the time again. I'm coming in. Because I reason when I get to prison, it's 3 things. I know I got enemies there, my father there, and I ain't gonna be nobody punk. You know, this is what I told myself. You know, I'm 18 or I just turned 19. I got a chip on my shoulder. I was fortunate enough nobody can get a homemade weapon, a lock in the socket, and knock the shit up outside my head, or go get a toothbrush and carve it and stick me in my neck. But I had put myself in those situations. But the best thing I had done was when I sat down to write my father. And I'm writing, I'm asking for help, but since my mind's so strict, I'm sabotaging at the same token. And like, I ain't trying to hear one of my told you speeches when you write me back, dog. But I'm saying I need you too. But I don't know how to express how I need you. Y'all been there at one time, right? You know, when you want some help, but your pride, or you don't know how to articulate it. Because I end the letter like, I'm a nigga, well, I'm going to be a nigga for life. That's how I end my letter. Right. And fortunately, and again, show you how ignorant I was. And there's nothing wrong with being ignorant. Because ignorance only means not to know. But it's something wrong when you make ignorance a way of life. And I had made it a way of life. And I had never contemplated how he would feel. Because at that time, he don't know if I'm dead, anything. And he's in a maximum security prison. And when that letter slides under his door, he gets up and he looks at it, sees my number, 223605. Well, more importantly, sees my name. Like, damn, my son is fucking following me to prison. Can you imagine that? You sitting on your bunk, you locked down 23 hours a day, and there's nothing in his mind he can do. And he's been there 9 years, 10 years. He's been through the wars. He done seen guys probably get sexually abused, actually raped, get stabbed, or taken advantage. I mean, a plethora of thoughts is running, racing through his mind at that moment. And he's trying to, how do I save my son? And the best thing he did was write an honest letter to me. And when I get it, I can't comprehend a lot of things. I'm functioning illiterate on some levels. But what I did comprehend was the warmth, the love, the companionship, the things that I always wanted. They jumped off and grabbed me and made me feel human. Because actually, even I'm 19 and they consider myself as a man, I'm still a little boy. I was searching for the love of his father. And I found in that letter, in the many letters that he sent me. But also he challenged me. He said, man, you misspelled religion. You misspelled knowledge. You misspelled a few words. You should get you a dictionary. When Malcolm X was in prison, that's what he read. He read a dictionary. And with God being the best plan, a year later we'll be at the same prison. But as we get to that point, he's building in my mind how to transform myself. Because again, now when I was scared of how to go inside myself, he's providing me with the tools, how to perform surgery on myself. And when I get there, and we finally see each other, He looks me in my eye and says, the greatest gift that a father can give his child is precious time. And up to this point, I've neglected you and given you my time. But from this day forward, I will do everything in my power to give you my time. So he painted in my mind the picture of what a man can be. And I went back to my cell, and I took that picture, and I painted it and put it up on my wall. And every day from that day forward, that was the image I wanted to be. He changed his name. I changed my name. He stopped eating pork. I stopped eating pork. He ran the yard and exercised. I did the same thing. He taught me how to be a productive person. More importantly, he taught me the value of knowledge. See, I'm a product of what knowledge can do, the right knowledge. Because again, as I said, I was functioning literate. I began to read everything. But more importantly, I gained a knowledge of self, a knowledge of who I was, the history of my people and what they had went through. See, if I had died at 19, my legacy would have been a gangbang. You know, and what was very profound when I got there, I asked this white guard, like, you know, I described my father to him. And I'm like, do you know him? Like, yeah, I know that guy, man. All he does is run the yard and he stay to himself. I mean, he responded like, man, that's a model prisoner. I mean, this is a white prison guard. You know, it's not socially in his makeup to say some shit like that. But he couldn't think nothing negative of my father to say. That shit was profound. And everybody who I met had the same thing to say. And as a child of this man, like, wow, I can stand up straight now. You know, it gave me a standard. It gave me an expectation. And we spent a year together. And you know, when we departed, he didn't have to worry about, you know, what his son was doing anymore. In the grand scheme of would I commit suicide? And I don't mean literal, but I'm talking in terms of doing dumb shit, inviting dumb shit in my life. So I walked the path of my father from that day forward. And that path was of redemption. That path was of transformation. And 5 years later, we'll be on the same prison yard again. But this time, I'm no longer standing for him as a boy, but as a man that he helped really produce this time. And we only had a chance to be together three days. And as you know, we was at Carson City. So Carson City is like this big ass plantation that's separated by gates. So you got like 3 or 4 prisons that's separated. And he walked me to the gate, and he looked at me with tears in his eyes and told me that they can keep the lion caged, but the cub must go free. And when the cub goes free, part of the lion goes with him. So even though my father's in prison, he's going on his 33rd year, you see him today. Because the man I am is a result of the man he had become in prison. So I served 9 years. I've been home 16 years. Since I've been home, I graduated from Wayne Community College. I've written a couple of books. I opened up a bookstore in my neighborhood. So when I came home, I don't know if you guys kind of covered again the topic or the phrase of like mass incarceration, Michelle Alexander work, the prison industrial complex. You know, all these fancy terms, they wasn't part of the conversation 16 years ago, 20 years ago. So it's more fashionable to some degree to come home and say you've been to prison. And I'm not talking, because it's always been fashionable in terms of your community, because we know what that looks like. But in terms of the larger society, you know, because what happened, they have created this X-Men type of situation. What I mean by that, where, you know, when you look at the X-Men movie, who all seen that? You know, where these 12 great, incredible folks that's led by this incredible man is held up. But we forget about the millions of other socially rejected mutants. That is the same thing with formerly incarcerated men and women. You know, you may see, you know, me on TV or read about me in the paper. But for me, I'm an extension and representation of those individuals. I am not by myself. Because my success doesn't mean anything if they're not successful. And they're not successful And I can't be successful. What does success look like? But more importantly, what get missed is the children. More important, what get missed, because when I was doing time, my mama was doing time too. What about her? What about our neighborhoods? You know, we live in a society where, depending on what county you live in, you know, you pay between $7,000 and $12,000 to educate a child each year, but you pay up to between $30,000 and $40,000 to lock somebody up. You know, this is the type of society that we live in. This is the budget that we operate. So in America, what would they rather do? I mean, again, we don't have to go to Harvard to graduate to figure this shit out. We really don't, man. We just need people to give a fuck. We really need people to give a fuck. More important, we need people to really think clearly, to think critically. Again, if you know, there's a phrase that some communities, particularly on the East Coast, there's a term they say $1 million blocks, where guys have started to identify themselves. This is what they represent to society. Yeah, you can, you know, if we did the math, you know, let's say 30 or 40,000, I don't know if we got any math experts in here, for 9 years and what that looks like. You know, but that was just me. You know, I mean, I don't know the last time, you know, Zone 8, my neighborhood, besides what we've invested, where we've seen $30,000. We've seen $50,000 in the community. You know, when you look at the landscape of Detroit, again, the social levees have collapsed. So now then you bring in a Mike Duggan, you know, a guy who lived in Livonia. I don't have a problem living in Livonia. But the fact that he can uproot himself from Livonia and come in and say, I'm going to run for mayor in Detroit from 4 years ago. You know, how does that happen? You know, his budget. His budget was greater than most incumbents. That wasn't by accident. You know, again, we have to look beyond the surface and look deeper. You know, you got Dan Gilbert that owns up there everything in downtown. I mean, how is that socially acceptable? You know, how many of y'all play Monopoly? How many of y'all remember playing, you know, feeling a certain way? Damn, he own every fucking thing. Shit. I hope I don't get stopped on his shit. I mean, right, you know how you felt to playing the game, so it's real life. God damn. You know, I mean, it creates a lopsided community. It creates. So again, this is the intersection of white supremacy. It's the intersection of racism. So as a black person who sits and watch TV all day, and you see white people in your mind, we associate all white people with money. I'm not saying all white people are wealthy, but what's fed in our minds, they are. So here I'm a guy that ain't got shit. And again, when we go back to that scenario, I need to go get my daughter some medicine. I'm at the gas station. I got my pistol on me. I really don't want to rob nobody. What's his name? Bob, right? Bobby. Yeah, Bobby. You know, Bobby pulls up, and I see Bobby, and got a couple $100 in his wallet. I really don't want to do it, and I'm pacing, and I fuck around. Bobby, give it to me. Bobby said, "Oh," and I shoot Bobby. I didn't want to shoot Bobby, but Bobby, I'm nervous, he nervous, and the fucking gun go off. That quick, I just called it fucking attempt murder or murder. It's that easy. But no one's evaluating the social circumstances. Is Bobby in the wrong for stopping at the gas? No, he's not. But should Bobby be advised and educated? Like, that may not be the gas station that you stop at. Right. I mean, these are some real conversations that we have to get into. Do we come and bulldoze that community with police? Or do we come and bulldoze that community with love? Do we come and bulldoze that community with resources? So I've been home 16 years. I do a lot of work in my community. One thing I'm very proud of is an annual backpack event. We've been doing it. We've done it like 15 times overall. This year, back our 11 years straight. For the last seven years, we've given away no less than 500 backpacks. Again, I don't know if any of you have been downtown Detroit and went to a festival down there or in your community that you live in. So if you've experienced that, that's what takes place in my neighborhood. And we're really, I emphasize that way because it's a neighborhood that is still, it's rippled with crime, it's rippled with drugs and whatnot. But on that day, it's a day of love, a day of hope, a day of peace. And all it took was somebody just to give a fuck. and right down the street, we've been working for the last 3 years to rehab a house into a training center. Shit that we hear about in other communities, they get it up overnight because it's a great story. Let's get behind Bobby because Bobby's a great guy. It's a great place to do that shit, but when it comes to black community and black folks, if it ain't really a story that they can pimp, you're just struggling. And we're gonna figure it out some way, somehow. That's what we're committed to. Again, like my neighborhood is the biggest section of this table, or how this table's set up. So I stay on this side, and it's like the east side. So on the west side is where this is Rosa Parks, 12. And everything on this end, Henry Ford Hospital is bought up for the most part. We're not too far from Henry Ford. So when you drive through there, you see a lot of abandoned buildings, abandoned houses. But what no one tells you, Henry Ford owns most of those properties. And they've been owning the majority of those properties for the last up to 10 years. So again, when you talk to it's manifest destiny all over again. It's no different when you know history. The quickest way to remove somebody out of the community is by creating blight. The quickest way to remove somebody out of the community, like anybody here, if you're looking for a community or a neighborhood, first thing you're going to look at the surrounding, does it got a nice school, and you got a checklist. So you go in zone A, oh shit, you don't hit none of my checklists. Get the hell up out of here. This is the social reality, and I point this out because what the media tells us about blight as if the people created blight. But they don't tell you about the big business, because now what happens is the property value in that community, does it go up or does it go down? It goes down. And by going down, Bobby, what happens?
No one wants to go there.
No one else goes. But who really wants to go there?
Rich kids buy that shit up.
Not only rich kids, big corporations. The big corporations come with the bulldozer and tear this shit down. And rebuild, we're going to put lofts in here now. We're going to put all these fancy things in. Again, so I said everything I say is, again, to tie all this together in terms of knowing history. Anytime you're in the community, there's a history of people there. And the question is, how do we impact people? How are we serving people? Not how we're serving corporations, businesses, and things of that nature. Because those things are created for the best interest, or they should be created for the best interest of people. Anybody got any questions? Comments?
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
We can write a paper about this.
Sounds good to me. Thank you, Miranda.
Yes.
So a lot of the corporations in the city owns a lot of rows of abandoned homes, even some community, even some of the hoods that are, half abandoned, have people in there. Why don't they do nothing with these homes?
The corporation?
Yeah.
Again, I just explained to you. They have a
Right, they want to keep it that way for sure, but my question is, if someone comes in and wants to buy it from them and wants to change it, can they?
No. I mean, that was the point I was about to make is they then took this board and they developed a whole new plan. They're not just trying to fix up a house. They're talking about replacing this community with what they see as fit. Because here's the fundamental thing when we talk about development. Everybody in here wants to live in a prosperous community, right? Everybody here wants to have access to a nice recreation center, have access to jobs. No, I mean, I don't give a fuck if you black, green, purple, yellow, what the fuck ever your color is. You want access to that. But in terms of the dynamics of racism, how that plays, it was a saying, if you're white, you're all right. If you're brown, stick around. If you're black, stay back. And that's how economically this shit is playing out. But they created that scenario for big corporations. It's nothing but the big bank taking the little bank. So they give that little thing, it's a black eye to the game plan. So it's ultimately it's a capitalist aspiration there. It has nothing for the aspiration of people. So that's why it won't work in that scheme.
And they want all the neighborhoods right outside of the downtown area that, like they did in Chicago, where you say, I live right outside of downtown Chicago, and they sell all the condos. They're doing that here in Detroit too. All the near neighborhoods to the downtown area, they're buying them up, and then they're gonna rebuild them up so that people with money will come back into the city of Detroit and have a place to live and not be afraid. So that's it. And I work for corporate America. I was on many of those phone calls. I was the executive administrative assistant to director of government affairs. And so I had to sit on those phone calls when all this was taking place as the admin on the line, just listening. So I heard it all going on before it all happened.
I was just gonna ask, so when did your, I just wanted to talk a little bit about your father. Was there ever a point that he was in your life a little bit before his incarceration, and how long does he still have left? And is there any hope that, like, whatever the crime that he committed, if on good behavior, he could be let out soon?
All great questions. So by the time I came to the world, my father had left for the Navy. Most men as an operation to do better things and create an income for himself. He came back. He came around between the ages of 6 and 8. Picked me up here and there, but it wasn't nothing fatherly. He was more so trying to prepare me, growing up in the mean streets of Detroit. I remember like one time he went and got the biggest young guy on the block and had me like go wrestle his ass and shit. Trying to steal. You shouldn't be scared of nobody and things like that. So it wasn't a fatherly bond at all. It was more like my a street guy. So when he left, I looked for those type of things. Unfortunately, my father caught another case in prison at Jackson in '87. So the crime that he was convicted of, he's done that time. As a result of being a part of a religious organization, an Islamic organization in prison, which is a lot of criminal shit that happens within these organizations or with the guards as well. He didn't do it. He got caught up in it, and because of like what we see now, like the ban against Muslims and the whole negative stigmas, a lot of that shit was happening inside prisons years ago. To be a Muslim in a prison was public enemy number one. So when he went to trial in Jackson, Michigan, was like going to trial in Jackson, Mississippi, which led to his conviction. We've been working to try to get his case overturned for the last since it happened. So we're still working on it. If we get that, hopefully when we get that case overturned, he'll be immediately eligible for parole. Any other questions?
You said that you were picked up for something for a crime that you didn't do.
Yes.
Is that what you served the 9 years for?
Yes.
Okay. So then, did you get out because it was overturned, or because you served the time?
I served the time. My false conviction, it's like many false convictions or wrongly convicted that happens. It didn't have that overtone where the evidence was so strong that you could get it overturned. But so when I went to trial, I picked a bench versus a jury. Everybody know the difference?
It's the same thing.
Right, exactly. I was young. I had a court-appointed lawyer. And then go back to race and how race flips itself. So at the time, I was scheduled to see Judge O'Brien, which is a white officer, a white judge. His case load was so heavy that day they had to transfer him upstairs. When I went upstairs, they gave us Judge Townsend. So my mind, I just sat down here with this white guy. He was just slamming motherfuckers. Like, I got to know I'm about to get some love now. Probably had a better chance with the white guy. But again, my lawyer never explained to me it was better to be judged by 12 than to be judged by 1. I didn't have an extensive criminal record as an adult. I actually only had one other prior, which was destruction of a property over $100 which I busted somebody's car window. But I had a long juvenile record. But they tell you when you get to adult though, that shouldn't follow you. And so when he sees me, he's not seeing me in the present, he's seeing all of that. And so he's like, you're a menace. And the funny thing, everybody who came and testified, you know, I wasn't there, because I wasn't there. But he rather that seen me incarcerated. So again, when you look at those dynamics and how you know, the fact that you have court-appointed lawyers who are, I mean, you better off, you know, defending yourself. I mean, there are some court-appointed lawyers that really fight hard for you, that really give a fuck. But for the most part, I mean, they're overworked, underpaid. So the reality about, when you get, you know, caseload, 30 on a day, they're tired. Are they really going to fight? So again, if you're going to go into this field with a police officer, a correctional officer, a lawyer, a prosecutor, a judge, you know, I would challenge you to take on the ownership of having some type of social justice framework in the field of doing this work. You know, look beyond the circumstances. I mean, again, you're going to be many of you go to class to be an investigator. Investigate the situation. You know, again, when we talk about crooked cops, the worst crime that happens with crooked cops is the cops allow the cops to be fucking crooked. You know, the worst crime that happens within the criminal justice system is that same court-appointed lawyer that didn't fight hard for my freedom goes back and have a drink with the fucking prosecutor. You know, that's another asshole. Fuck you. I mean, these are real scenarios. So again, if you're going to find yourself in that job, again, if you're going to be a correction officer, if you're inside, and if your job is predicated on motherfuckers coming back, then you shouldn't be there. You know, your job should be predicated on sending people home to be fathers, to be mothers. I mean, you know, this is the ownership that you should own. That you should challenge yourself. But more importantly, you know, ask the question, you know, why in the country that's supposed to be the home of the free, the home of the brave, the richest, the most, all this bullshit that we describe in this country, but it's so fucked up. There's so many people that's so fucked up in this country. Why is that? You know, and again, we all say we're human. And if we're so fucking human the way we say it, then why are we sitting on the sideline not helping? Because in reality, you may be that same human being. Without, you know, that's where, like when we saw a couple weeks ago, the thousands of women, in particular white women, who came out and marched and blah, 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 for black women, Mexican and Puerto Rican women, they've been experiencing that shit for years. We go back, you know, 6-7 years ago, we had the whole Occupy movement. You know, white folks, they was upset. Again, you know, you see what black people are upset every day. So that tells us we need to change the society. But to change the society, we got to change ourselves. Because we are all a product of this society. So we maintain patriarchy, sexism. We maintain racism. We maintain sexism. All these things that we see from the society, we are those things. So it's important if for those things to be removed and fixed, we have to fix them in ourselves. And once we fix them ourselves, when we infiltrate the society, then we can change the society. That is the ownership that each and every one of us has to take on. If you say you're human, that is a challenge that you should leave with. Any other questions?
Do you somehow look at this as like a saving grace because where you are now, and that you had the opportunity to meet your father and develop that relationship?
I mean, most definitely. I ain't no overly religious guy. Definitely spiritual, and see the spiritualness to it. God granted me a second chance to help some people realize their first chance. But again, I told you, and they've been very honest and brutal. I mean, one time I was a functioning literate. I mean, I can teach this class. I can teach many classes that's being taught on this campus. You know, and that's if I decided to come in with a suit and tie. You wouldn't even know that I was a fucking prisoner, former prisoner. You wouldn't know that I was a fucking former gangbanger. I mean, again, this is the society that we live in. You know, we too quick to judge someone. I mean, like, I've had people come up to me and say, I didn't know you was that smart. Like, what the fuck smart looks like? You know, I don't talk that much. I'm a real quiet guy. I don't study. I'm all right with shit. I choose to open my mouth. You know what I mean? But again, this is shit that we go through, you know. I like I wore this shirt intentionally. I mean, if it wasn't for this man, I wouldn't know what redemption looks like. He set the tone what transformation is and things. So, again, I mean, the fight that you hear that I'm in, it shouldn't be an isolated fight. It's a fight that you should want to join. And not necessarily my fight per se, but the fight of improving a life. And again, on this campus, how do we improve this campus? How do we make this campus a better place? The capitalist shit that takes place in here. I mean, it's all about money. Again, what do we all start going with? Again, is the school more valuable or are we more valuable? We are more valuable. But because we're not united, because we don't have the right analysis around it, we allow them to treat us a certain way. I mean, certain classes that just don't make no motherfucking sense. They're just so bureaucratic and that it doesn't, the advice that you try to give, you make you sound like you're stupid. But you know you ain't stupid. And the teachers and the professors are caught up in fucking catch-22. But again, we band together, we figure this out, man. And it's a movement that has to take place on campus and off campus.
I wanted to add, one thing I wanted to have you touch on, Yusef, is, so like when you first came home, what was it like, trying to reacclimate to society, and like, how many barriers do you feel that you came across being a convicted felon, like trying to find a place to stay, getting a job, checking that box, and everybody having that, that little convict tattoo on your forehead every time you're trying to do the right thing. You already had that mindset, I think, in prison to come out and do the right thing, but how did the barriers you come across, did that frustrate you, and did you ever think about going back?
Well, first thing, when I came home, I realized the reason in my head that was the only thing that was gonna separate me from a bum, a person who had shit, was my family. So that was my predicament. In the early stages, I wasn't working, so anytime I needed money, I'd ask my mother, my sister. Anytime I've been gone so long, when I needed to get around, I needed to ride. I did go back. A woman had lied on me, said I didn't want to be. I jumped on her because I didn't want to be in a relationship with her. That was very devastating. The first job I got after coming home from that situation, I didn't want that job, but after you being home 7 months and shit, and you ain't got no money, you ain't got nothing. I got a 9-year-old son. My feet getting big, bro. I need some shoes, and first job was selling dope. And shit. Again, it wasn't what I wanted to do, but at the period of time, I wasn't gonna keep going broke. But I was fortunate enough I didn't get caught up where I got arrested. I just woke up one morning like, this is what I came home to do, and so I quit. And from there on, I worked temp jobs, which is very, I don't know how many people ever worked a temp job, which is very disrespectful, low pay, particularly when you got that tattoo on your hand being a felon, you really at the bottom of the barrel and shit. And then I got fired, and we went one time, almost 7 months without a job. And my girlfriend at the time, her son was in Head Start instead of volunteering. And from there, I hit my stride. I ended up getting a job there, and I ain't looked back. So it's about endurance, a little luck, perseverance, applying yourself, not giving up. I mean, it's a mixture of a lot of different dynamics that, even now, man, I mean, here I am, I'm very successful there. Books.
Yeah, plug your DVD and your book real quick. These are for sale with a student discount.
Yeah, anybody interested? I'm saying this to say when, how many people you actually met an author? In our minds, again, the society we live in, an author is somebody well off and blah, blah, blah. I'm an everyday guy like the rest of you guys and stuff, and trying to figure it out. But more importantly, it separates me from anybody else that comes with a book or whatever. I'm not doing this for individual proceeds from this goes back into the community, investing in the work that we do. And the work that we do, and I say that we, is building something. Because the work that you ultimately want to do has to be greater than any individual. I may be the individual, I may be the story, I may be the catalyst, but I can't be it all. I understand, we live in a country that gravitates to a story. I have no desire to be the black novice of the room. I have no desire to be reduced as just another Negro story in America. I have a desire to contribute towards, there shouldn't be another story come after me. There shouldn't be another story that comes after you. There shouldn't be another story of a woman, I said, experience what my mother experienced what I experienced. When you look at, part of the continuum, you know, the autobiography of Malcolm X. If we had done what we supposed to do with that book, I don't write my book. My story doesn't come about. So it's something that's telling us we're not doing our job. You know, same way again, if you work in a social justice program or a lawyer, they ultimately say you're working your way out of a job. And how do we work our job? By fixing the problem. But to fix the problem, we have to really understand the problem. And understanding the problem, you have to be fluent and dynamic and willing to go the extra mile. If you're not willing to go the extra mile, then you're selling yourself short. So anybody interested in purchasing a book or DVD, see me afterwards and you're going to get a discount.
All right, thank you, Yusef. We
You're welcome.
appreciate your
Thank
time. So anybody wants to come up, I'm sure Yusef will sign a copy for you. Anybody want some Facebook blast pictures, come on up too. We got some social media ripping off here.